Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Reiner, sports talk. Baseball, 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 baseball.
Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We've had a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
The Texas Rangers win the World Series.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming.
The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off set.
This is a cool night or what?
Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
And away we go. Another episode of Your Dark Companion. We're not sure when this is going to run exactly. But I'm not supposed to say that.
That's okay.
Hey,
All that matters is that you're watching it right now.
Yeah.
I'm transparent. Besides, we're going live here. So if you're live, then you can check it out, and you won't give a damn when we run it. You won't give a damn what we do with it.
We're live,
You're
but
seeing
we're
it
not.
now. Yeah, we're live, but we're not. Another thing we are, and we definitely are this, is at Dudley's.
Mm-hmm.
Dudley's, a sports bar, a relatively new sports bar on Henderson, just a little bit to the east of Central. And it is a place that I think you're going to like if you were into the sports bar scene. I can't imagine what you would want a sports bar to have that they don't.
Lots of TVs.
Lots of
Yeah.
TVs. Now, I would be Mike Reiner. Shoopy is here.
Hi.
And today, we've got another second-timer here, a new member of the second-timer club. Or is this
I think
this
he's
is three?
closer to a five-timer, right?
I can't remember.
There's no way to know.
It's been a few. We're into the plurals.
We just know
I thought
that
it was
we,
2. Ashley says 3. Becca says 4. Who knows?
We just know that we love him.
We know that we love him, and we know that whenever there is something we want to talk about pertaining to the music scene in this town, he is extremely, extremely go-to and always willing to do it. He runs the Kessler. He is the great Jeff Liles.
Thank you, Mike.
My man.
How are you, man?
Good. Excellent.
Everything good in your world?
Yeah.
Everything fine over at the Kessler?
Everything's
Of course
great
it
at
is.
the Kessler, yeah.
It's a great room. How could it not be?
I'm going to clarify real quick. It is 4 because he came on for Eric Nadell's birthday.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
4.
Okay.
There you go, then.
4 appearances. We
Wow.
we trust Ashley more than we trust me and Shoopy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I just do them and forget about them.
Becca also
The,
said
the
but,
others remember
you
this
know.
stuff. So, yeah, I guess you're the leader in the clubhouse now, isn't he?
It's him and Jesse Huila and Sarah Blaskovich, I would imagine.
I like
Yeah.
Jesse. Jesse,
Man, I like
Dude.
Jesse, too.
yeah.
you
man,
get
he's
you
a music
guys
guy.
connecting last time made me really happy.
Yeah, it was a blast. I love
Yeah.
him. My mom loves him, too. So
Aw.
my mom was happy that Jesse and I are friends.
He's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know, long before I knew him, I would see him on TV, and, you know, he's a weather guy and everything like that. Usually they don't really leave much of an imprint, but the more I watched him and the more I saw him, the more I started thinking, man, that's a cool cat there.
Yeah. he's
And
great.
he is. He really is. I mean, he's got a very easy vibe about him, and he's just a really good, really solid, really cool dude.
Well, especially seeing as he's kind of the understudy of Delkus. Like, you know, it's tough to develop a personality under a guy that's been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah, but the thing about Jesse is
Yeah.
he's doesn't seem to be really trying to develop
No.
a personality.
There
what
is
what you see
absolute-
is what he is.
Like every time we've had him on, he's not tried to be, you know, too silly or weird or serious or anything. He's just him.
Have you ever
and-
noticed the anchors love him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They,
Yeah.
they
How
give
could you
Delkus,
not?
They give Delkus a hard time all the time because they just love pushing his
Yeah,
buttons or
and
whatever.
and you know that Delkus that kind of guy. Like, I kind of sort of know Delkus where he's a sarcastic guy, and there are people like that where you're just gonna mess with them, you're gonna have fun with them, but then someone like Jesse, he's got that streak in him, but you also just you want to hug him.
Well, here's one thing that I don't know if y'all notice this or not. The next generation of meteorologists have to acknowledge the fact that man-made climate change is a real thing.
Yeah.
Delkus won't do that.
Right.
He absolutely will not mention it. He won't talk about it because he knows every time he does, somebody reams him out on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
So you notice a lot of these younger meteorologists, they know it's a real thing. They know the science behind it or whatever. So they, you know,
There's stuff happening.
they're not going to humiliate themselves by pretending it's not real,
Right.
you know?
Are you saying there's global warming going on out there?
Yeah, it's kind of hot out there.
He's been drumming that beat for a while.
yeah,
I have for a long
Yeah.
time.
it's very real.
I mean, I have firmly bought into that long ago.
Well, if you notice, when we were younger, we used to have 4 seasons.
Yes.
Mm.
Now we just have extreme heat and extreme cold.
Yes.
That's it. You can't tell what season's what. You know, it's just one or the other.
It's a better world back then.
Yes.
Like,
well,
hey,
it's
now
still
get
the
off my
world,
lawn.
and we're still in it. You know. So.
hey, we were 94 today, and it felt kind of pleasant.
Yeah.
So
And it's September.
right.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at.
Remember, like when the football season started, you know, it was cold, and you just knew it was football season.
Yeah, there was a chill in the air.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the
It was
first
just different
football game.
fall.
You know, I remember I used to call high school football, and the first game every year I would say there's a chill in the air right when we came on, you know, because there really would be, you know.
Yeah, of course. That's how you knew it was football season.
Right. You did. Now, you don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And
Nobody
now
knows.
you get 6 or 7 games into the year, and it's still 85, 90 degrees
Oh,
outside.
it's brutal.
Yeah.
All right, we got some stuff to talk to you about today because I believe you were wanting to talk about the Sex Pistols. Shoopy, you've been on a Sex Pistols kick today.
A little bit, and you know, like we originally booked Mr. Liles to talk about the Sex Pistols showing up at the Longhorn and kind of reinvigorating their moment from about 50 years ago, and I believe their guitar player broke his wrist.
Steve Jones, yeah.
Yeah, Steve Jones broke his wrist.
Yep.
Had to, cancel the gig.
They postponed it. They didn't
Or,
cancel it.
sorry,
Yeah.
postponed. There is a difference.
Yeah.
And so now we're kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern where you know that they're going to find a way to get back over to y'all.
Oh, yeah. They'll be here. I mean, their tour
Yeah.
is kicking off here. You know, the postponing thing, throughout the years there have been shows that have happened in Dallas that were highly anticipated, and they ended up getting postponed.
Mm.
One of them, and I'm sure you remember this, in 1977, Led Zeppelin was supposed to start their U.S. tour here in Dallas.
Yes, yes.
And in the beginning, I remember people camped out for like 3 or 4 days to get tickets, and it was supposed to be in the beginning of March of '77, and then Robert Plant got laryngitis or had some
Yeah.
kind of throat problem or something, and they had to postpone it.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they had done their rehearsing for that tour here.
Yes, they were
Mm.
here at ShowCo.
Yeah.
And they would go to Mother Blues and hang out. at
Yeah,
night
they
and
would.
stuff like
They
that.
would.
Yeah, that was an amazing thing. You guys could do a whole show just on ShowCo. ShowCo was an amazing Dallas company that built production rigs for touring acts in the '70s, like Queen and Led Zeppelin and basically every big name.
If you were big and you were going on tour, then you
ShowCo
got
put your show
ShowCo.
together.
Yeah,
And
Really?
ShowCo put
bands
the
would
show
come
together.
here and they would rehearse for weeks at a time, and you'd see them after they'd get done rehearsing. They'd go to Mother Blues and hang out and stuff, and it was an amazing thing. It was an incredible thing. And ShowCo also, I hate to get off topic. I'll get back to the Sex Pistols in a second, but ShowCo, Dallas should be very, very proud of the heritage and legacy of ShowCo. I mean, they developed lasers for bands, like when Led Zeppelin and Blue Oyster Cult and Pink Floyd first came out with lasers, they had developed them.
Good Lord.
Also, Verilights. Do you know what Verilights are?
Yeah, the
They're the lighting cans above the stage that move. They're mechanized. You could use them on a rotor.
Yes, they move and they change colors and they do everything.
They're Verilites. They were developed by ShowCo.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Very big deal. Anyway, Led Zeppelin, during their 77 tour, were supposed to play here in the beginning of March of that year. And it got postponed to April 1st. And Led Zeppelin hadn't done any shows in a couple of years at that point. So they were kind of in a precarious situation. Same thing with the Sex Pistols, they hadn't been around. So they changed the new date to April 1st. And I can remember people, wondering if it was all a big April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
And during that time, in between when the show was supposed to happen and when the show actually happened, somebody printed up about 5,000 counterfeit tickets that looked exactly like the real ones.
Oh, God.
You could not differentiate between which ones were real and which ones were fake. So I remember getting to the arena that night, and there was somebody sitting in my seat who had the exact same ticket I had. He just got there before I did. I knew mine was real, because we bought it when everybody was camping out. But, yeah. Memorial Auditorium downtown held about 9,000 people, and that night there was about 15,000 people packed into there. There were like,
oh my God,
yes, it was a mob scene. They had to let everybody in, and when I saw that somebody was sitting in my seat, I just said, okay, that's an opportunity, and I jumped off the balcony onto the floor.
Wait, hold on. Say that again?
Yeah, the balcony was only about 10 feet tall. Right.
Okay.
So it was real easy just to climb over the rail, and as soon as the house lights went down, everybody started piling over the rail down onto the floor.
That's your solution to someone else having your seat?
My seat was behind the stage. It was an obstructed view ticket that was behind a big curtain. I wasn't going to sit in it anyway. I was like, fuck that.
Fair enough.
All right, so you jump down on the floor. What happens next?
Well, everybody jumped down on the floor. It wasn't just me. It was hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah, but you're here. You're the one we're concerned about.
Yeah. Well, it was very crowded down there, too. But, I'd much rather be down there than be behind the stage. So, yeah. So I just, when I'm thinking about this Sex Pistols show being postponed or whatever, it just took me back to when Led Zeppelin show got postponed. And there was like this month of kind of purgatory, where you didn't even know if the show was really ever going to happen or not,
Yeah.
And finally it did. And Led Zeppelin was going through a lot of personal drama back then, Robert Plant had a car wreck or something, and
it was kind of getting toward the end of the line for them.
It was their last American tour, 77, and then the Sex Pistols show was the next year in 78 at Longhorn Ballroom.
Tell us about that.
That was different. Okay, so the Longhorn Ballroom, if you've been there, you know the legacy it has. It was a country and western kind of roadhouse place where Willie and George Jones and
anybody else who is anything in country music has played there.
Waylon, all of them, they all played there. And the manager of the Sex Pistols, when he put together their first American tour, had the bright idea to book the band in these places that were obvious counterculture, not necessarily punk rock places.
Right, places where they wouldn't be a fit.
Very, very much a strategic idea to put them into rooms where something big and bad could happen.
Yeah.
So they played Randy's Rodeo in San Antonio, which was a lot like the Longhorn.
Yep.
They played the Longhorn, obviously, and then they played Kane's Ballroom up in Tulsa, which is same deal. It's like the sister venue to the Longhorn Ballroom. Same deal there, Bob Wills and everybody played there.
By the way, my stupid band has played Kane's Ballroom before.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Swear to God.
That's incredible.
Wow. I look at you in a whole different light now.
You shouldn't.
I do.
That shouldn't have happened.
Dude.
It did.
Tulsa,
it did.
Tulsa is amazing.
Yeah.
I was up there about a year ago, and I went to Kane's, and everyone was just smoking weed right out front, because
I believe that.
Weed's legal there. The smoking area is right in front, and there's like people smoking weed right in front of the cops. I was like, man, we got to do that.
Hey.
So now what happened to the Sex Pistols show? Something really wild happened there that night, didn't it?
Well, a lot of wild stuff happened that night. It was in January of 78, so it was really cold. I was a student at J.J. Pierce High School at the time. I was in 11th grade. And J.J. Pierce and Richardson High School are like a mile down the street from each other. And if you went to Westwood Junior High School, you either went to Pierce or you went to Richardson. And all of my friends from Westwood went to Richardson, and I went to Pierce. So I ended up going to that show with 2 kids from Richardson, Richardson High School.
Yeah.
And once we got to high school, the 2 schools were kind of rivals, And Pierce had about maybe a half dozen kids that were punk rock kids. Richardson had a lot more. I mean, Pierce was very widespread. I mean, if I had stayed, I ended up transferring to Richardson for my senior year, but if I had stayed at Pierce, I would have graduated in a class of 895 kids with 1 black person.
Holy crap.
Wow.
At 1 out of 895. Okay, now Richardson.
That was about my ratio.
Yeah.
Except for the 1 black person.
I mean, that was your dream, right?
Richardson was a mixture of everybody. You had all these Asian kids whose parents worked at TI and worked at Collins Radio, and tons of black kids and Mexican kids and everybody. I loved Richardson so much more than Pierce.
Yeah.
But I can remember the morning after the Sex Pistols show, I came to school, and I still had on my black leather pants. I had these $200 black leather pants that I had bought at Judy's at Valley View Mall. They're my punk rock pants,
Mm-hmm.
And I actually was so, amped up from the show from the night before that I wore my black leather pants to school the next day. So everyone would ask me about them,
Yeah.
or whatever.
You look like you were somewhere.
Right. So first period biology class, my biology teacher was Coach Moore, who was a football coach. Okay, and I'm in the back of the room before the bell rang, and I'm telling all the kids, about, yeah, man, last night we saw this English punk rock band, and all these people were spitting on each other and jumping up and down like they were on a pogo stick and all that. I could see Coach Moore kind of looking at me from across the room, and the bell rang. And he said, before we start the class today, I think I'm going to let Jeff come up to the front of the class and tell everybody about his Sex Pistol.
His Sex Pistol?
His Sex Pistol. He'd only kind of heard a few of the words I was talking. He didn't really know what I was talking about, but he'd obviously never heard of punk rock before, and so I walked right up to the front of the room in my black leather pants, and I was like, all right, so last night I went to this country and western place with these 2 guys from Richardson High School, and Coach Moore was like, stop. Why were you hanging out with people from Richardson High School?
Oh, God.
Because, he's a football coach.
Sure.
They're rivals, And I was like, man, because they're friends of mine. And one of them had a pickup truck, and he drove us down there, So we get there, and these people are jumping up and down and spitting on each other. And Coach Moore looks at me and goes, are you on something right now? I was like, well, I have been up all night, but I'm not on anything.
It's past.
Yeah. So he finally made me go sit down. And then the second period class was world geography. And my teacher, Miss Graham, who was, super hot, pulls me out into the hallway before class starts. And she goes, Jeff, those pants are amazing, but don't ever wear them to school again. You're being a distraction. And I was like, that's what punk rock's all about,
Dude, I wish you wore them today.
I wish I still had them, man. $200 was a lot of money for a pair of pants in 1978.
That's a lot of money for a pair of pants right now.
Dude, I was mowing lawns for a living, so that was about 15 lawns,
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well, good investment, though.
Yeah.
You got a little return on that, wouldn't you say?
I didn't actually buy them to be punk rock. I bought them because I was real into the Doors and Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
Jim Morrison had black leather pants, so I wanted to have some too, But I was definitely the only person at the Longhorn that night who actually had real leather pants on.
Oh.
Everybody else had the kind of plastic,
Leather.
Yeah.
So, what was your migration from the mainstream to punk rock like? You said you were into the Doors. The Doors were, mainstream.
Led Zeppelin, of course.
Yeah, mainstream rock and Led Zeppelin.
Rush. I was
Same for
totally
them.
into Rush. I was
Yeah.
into Jimi Hendrix. I was into all that stuff.
All right, what got you into more punk stuff?
Okay, so, and I know you're going to remember this. At that point in time, there was this cultural shift. You had everybody was into classic rock. They had this rock and roll mentality they were into. And then this other style of music came in, and it was disco music. It was dance music. And the line was real drawn in the sand right there. You were either rock and roll or you were disco. It was like, oh, disco sucks. And I can remember I was mowing lawns for a living then. And you know who Johnny Taylor is, the soul singer?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I used to mow Johnny Taylor's lawn.
Redbird Lane?
No. He lived out in far north Dallas in Preston
did?
Trails. Yeah, he lived right by where they had the Byron Nelson golf course. or the tournament every year. So he used to pay me $250 a week to mow his lawn. And at the time, he had a big hit called Disco Lady.
Yes, he did.
Okay, I had never heard the song, but I assumed since it was called Disco Lady, it was a disco song. So I would give him shit all the time. I'd be like, hey, disco man, what's going on? You know, whatever. And Johnny looked at me and goes, you never heard my shit, have you? You know? And I'm like, Disco Lady, man, you know. And about finally 10 years later, I finally heard Disco Lady and heard that it wasn't a disco song. I was like, oh, shit, I got to find Johnny and apologize, man. So anyway, you either were into rock and roll, and at the time I had like the big Sammy Hagar haircut, you know, with the perm, with the sun in and everything, you know, and my other guy that I mowed lawns with was the drummer in our garage band. We had a garage band called Wizard, and we would do Pinball Wizard. That was our big show closer, you know.
Right.
And anyway, we were definitely rock and roll, you know, and we would give Johnny shit about being disco man. And anyway, while these two types of music were trying to coexist, this other thing snuck in the back door, and that was punk rock. And at the time, a lot of my favorite classic rock bands were kind of starting to go soft. You know, Led Zeppelin came out with the album that had all the keyboards on it, you know. And some of the other bands, some of my favorite, you know, classic rock bands kind of stuck their toe in the disco world. You know, like Rolling Stones had Miss You. That was kind of their disco song. And David Bowie had Let's Dance. And everybody was trying to have it both ways, you know. And then punk rock kind of snuck in the back door, right? And it was really energetic. And the guitars were turned up really loud, you know. And that I remember walking into a Soundtown record store in Promenade Mall in Richardson. And the second I walked in the door, one of the guys behind the counter, Randy Aiken, said, there's Jeff, give it to him. And they gave me a copy of the Sex Pistols record. They wanted me to get it out of the store. You know, they didn't want it anywhere near their rock and roll records or whatever. And it had this really ugly cover. And I didn't know what any of it meant. The cover of the name of the album was Nevermind the Bollocks. I didn't know what that meant. You know,
what does it mean? I still don't.
Bollocks is the British word for bullshit.
Okay.
Basically,
I did not know that.
It's good philosophy.
Yeah.
Well, listen, there were a bunch of things on that record I had no idea what they meant. Okay, so I put this record on, and it just jumps out of the speakers, right? I was like, fuck yeah, I love this, man. This is amazing. But I had no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, anarchy in the UK, I'd never heard the word anarchy. I didn't know what that meant. You know, I didn't know that the UK was England.
I couldn't understand why the UK was so pissed.
Well, that
you know?
and that's another thing. You know, they had a song "Holidays in the Sun," which was about the Holocaust. They didn't teach the Holocaust at Richardson High School. You know, I didn't. That wasn't part of our curriculum. I didn't know what that was about. They had a song on there called "Bodies," which was about abortion. I didn't know what an abortion was. You know, so I thought.
See, this was educational stuff.
It changed my life, Mike, because I didn't know what any of this stuff meant. You know what I'm saying? I had to get out the dictionary.
Yeah.
And I remember at the beginning of it thinking these must be punk rock words. You know, this must be like this new language, this new kind of punk rock language where the words don't really mean anything, you know, or they don't mean anything specific, you know. And so, yeah, it was life-changing, you know, and I'm kind of trying to explain to other people what the songs are about or whatever when I didn't even know myself, you know.
I made a career out of that.
So anyway, we go to the show that night, and we were kind of wondering. I didn't know what the Longhorn Ballroom was. I was too young to know that it was a nightclub. I thought it was like a ballroom where they had like ballroom dancing with a big chandelier in the room or something like that. I didn't know until
you know it now, don't you?
Pretty familiar.
And another thing about that was back before we had cell phones and GPS devices, so we didn't really know where it was. All we knew about it is that it was right down the street from the Sportatorium where they had the wrestling matches.
Yeah.
And my dad had taken me to the wrestling matches. So I told Buckwheat, the guy driving the truck, I said, if you can get us to the Sportatorium, we'll find it. You know, so we got down to the Sportatorium there. It was like right down the street from where the Longhorn was. And pulled into the parking lot of the Sportatorium. We're like, where's the Longhorn Ballroom? You know, asking all these people. And they said, oh, it's down the street. So we finally made it down there, right? And we pull up in the parking lot of the Longhorn, and it's got all this kind of like you know, it looks like this big ranch house, you know, type thing. And I was like, wow, this didn't really look like a ballroom, you know. And these hippie guys, or they're hippie country guys, I should say, that were Dewey Groom's sons, were running the front door.
Right.
And they saw us pull up in a pickup truck, so they were like, yeah, y'all come on in. We didn't get cards or anything. I didn't even realize it until we got in there that we were going into a bar, you know. I think it was probably the first bar I'd ever been in.
Well, it's a good one to start in.
Yeah. And the first band that played that night was the Nervebreakers, who were this like really legendary Dallas punk rock band, Barry Kuda's band, and they were incredible. They really were tight. I mean, the Sex Pistols that night really weren't that tight.
Yeah.
They were real sloppy. But
that was the whole point for them, though, wasn't it?
Well, their record is amazing. Their record is really tight and succinct, and you know, I was kind of expecting them to replicate the record, and a different guy played on the album. Glenn Matlock played bass on the album. Sid Vicious didn't know how to play bass. He was just kind of standing there with the bass hanging on his neck.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't really know what he was doing. So it was sloppy in that respect. But, man, the Nervebreakers were just on fire. You know, they were really great. And Barry Kuda, the guitar player, pulls out a big dead fish and takes a big bite out of a dead fish and throws it down on the ground. And it stunk so bad you could smell it all over the place, you know. And actually, a couple of weeks after that, there was a photo of him doing that in Rolling Stone magazine.
Wow, really?
Yes. Remember how Rolling Stone used to
Yeah.
have the random notes thing
Yeah.
where they had the little small thing? There was a photo of Barry in there biting that fish at the Sex Pistols show.
God. I didn't see that. I'd love to see that.
Oh my
Yes, it
God!
still
I've
exists.
heard of Barry for forever.
Yeah.
I've
same
never
here.
gotten to meet him. But
Yeah, I don't know him, never
Oh
met
my
him or anything
God.
like that, but I've heard the name forever.
Oh,
I can't believe you haven't met him.
No, I haven't.
He lives in Costa Rica now, but he was one of my neighbors in Oak Cliff for years. I love Barry. He is one of the coolest people you've ever met in your life. He's super smart. He, you know, he has a great history himself and a great musician. He played in the Cartwrights. He's played in a bunch of different bands. He's played in punk bands and country bands, and he was friends with Stevie Ray Vaughan when they were in high school. They were in a garage band together. Barry's a great guy, man. He actually was in the Army. He fought in Korea.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Barry is an amazing guy. He's one of my favorite people in the world.
Jeff, you might not know this. I'm sorry, but Shuby has a Stevie Ray Vaughan story too.
Oh, I bet he does.
I got to tell it now?
Sure. You're in front of Jeff Liles.
Stevie Ray Vaughan and I had a weird way, even though I can't say that we were close friends or anything like that, although that idea certainly has gotten out there over the years. That you'll never hear me say that.
I feel like y'all became closer over the years.
Well, yeah, over the years,
yeah.
but as far as being close friends go,
You're
were
not BFF. You're not like me and you.
But our orbits over the years, being in Oak Cliff and playing music and in teen bands and everything like that, over the years, our orbits had a weird way of doing this and occasionally that, bumping up against each other. Like, when I was first trying to get a band together, we needed a guitar player. And, you know, Jimmy Vaughan, his brother, was playing in the Pendulums for sure, maybe the Chessmen by then. But they were big bands in Oak Cliff. You know, they were playing all the time and everything. They were really good. And Jimmy Vaughan was already known as the best guitar player in the state of Texas, depending on who you talk to. And anyway, I didn't really know him, but I knew who he was and everything.
That's back when he had long hair.
Yeah.
Jimmy had long hair.
Oh, yeah. And I put out the word that we were looking for a guitar player. And I put out the word around school and everything because that's what you did, you know. That if you want to audition, be at my house at such and such time on such and such day and bring your guitar, bring your amp, and let's see what you got. So we're over there running through guys, and we hear a couple, and none of them were what we were looking for. I don't even know if there was a what we're looking for. But nevertheless, this car pulls up. This kid gets out carrying a guitar, no case. Got no amper, no nothing. And I recognize him right away. That's Jimmy Vaughan's little brother.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
And I'd heard that Steve was starting to get pretty good too.
Yeah.
You know? So I mean, right away I just looked at him and see, the other thing was we were starting to play some like adult places. We were, a little older, like 16, 17. And if you had a band back then, you could play at some adult places and nobody would shake you down or nothing, But he was way, way young. And I was thinking, man, we can't be taking, this guy into, these adult places we're playing. But he came over, he wanted to audition, so okay, plug into that amp, let's see what you got. He did, and I said, what do you want to do? He said, let's do a slow blues in C. So, okay, we didn't do...
Nobody plays blues in C.
No.
It's all in E or A.
Yeah, well...
Yeah.
He wanted to do it in C because he's Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, we start playing, and, I mean, right away, it's clear that this guy is far, far more advanced than any of us. That he was way better than us. So we played that for a while, and we quit that, and then he says, I say to him, what do you want to do now? And he says, we'll do a shuffle. So, okay, let's roll out a shuffle in A. What the hell? Why not? Same thing. Guy is so good. I mean, just like he knew how to do it. We didn't. We played a very, very low level of shuffle, and I can't swear that he didn't look up at me a couple times and go and say, man, that's how you play a shuffle? And later on, I would learn the way to do it right, and I know he would be proud of me but we finished that, and once again, he just killed it. And I said to him, well, look, man, you're really good, but do you know any Beatles? And he goes, no.
No.
Do you know any Rolling Stones? I don't think so.
Do you know any Hendrix?
Yeah.
Every song.
But we didn't know Hendrix. But anyway, I just came to the conclusion that we couldn't use this guy. So I went over to the garage, stuck my head out, and there were 2-3 guys waiting to audition. So I said, okay, who's next?
Oh, no.
And sent him on his way.
And Shuby, for the record, I don't mean that to embarrass you. It's just, I guess it's a funny thing of
it's a hilarious
how a
thing.
band can work.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what,
for
you
what
might-
y'all are looking for what he's capable of, obviously, he's so much beyond what y'all were looking to do, but he couldn't do what y'all were doing. He can
That's
do
right.
what y'all do. Y'all couldn't do what they do.
Listen, every garage band in Dallas had one guy who was super talented, and then 3 or 4 guys that were riding his coaches.
Yeah, there's no shame in it. It's just, it's a funny thing.
Oh,
where,
yeah, I know. I know.
It's the story that's come about over 30 years is Stevie Ray Vaughan auditioned for Mike's band, and he said,
and I kicked him
no,
out.
yeah. And it's a way more subtle thing, but, like, I think that's the most detail I've ever seen or heard. And it's just fascinating how a guy that can play, in theory, anything can't play what y'all were looking for.
Well, by then,
or was better than that.
By then, Jimmy had made the shift from playing psychedelia and whatever was hip at the time and everything to being a blues guy.
Yeah.
What he turned out to be. And Stevie just fell right in there with him, Jimmy had been in a band called the Chessmen, which were one of the bigger bands in Dallas at the time, but they weren't really a blues band. However, he took their drummer, Doyle Bramhall.
Yeah.
And Doyle could sing like Ray Charles.
Yeah.
Doyle was an incredible singer.
Yeah, his kid's talented too.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is. You may know Doyle Bramhall Jr.
Yep.
Who is a great guitar player. And Jimmy started playing blues places with him, and Stevie just fell right into that. Then later on, Stevie got into a band called Blackbird, which, had they lasted, would have been something really good.
Didn't they have a female singer?
No, they had
one band he was in that had a female singer. I know that.
That may have been down in Austin. In fact, God, I can't think of her name right.
Lou Ann Barton?
Yeah, it was Lou Ann Barton.
Yeah.
Thank you. They had a black singer, and they started playing a lot of rhythm and blues, and man, they were really, really good.
Yeah.
And some of the guys in that band were guys who had been playing in the same circle as me. And one of them took me over to listen to them rehearse one night. They were rehearsing up at the Studio Club.
Yeah.
And he took me over there to listen to them rehearse, and I just left there going, God, man.
This guy jumped off.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing did. The whole thing was just great. And, you know, when you're a kid and everything, you know, you can't get along and things happen inside bands and, you know, you got this, you got that. And if they would have stayed together, they could have been really something good.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't cross paths with Barry Cuda at some point in time.
I don't think I have,
He was an Oak Cliff guy. His name was Barry Hubner is his real name. And he would, same deal with Steve. You know, they were in a garage band together. They did their thing. I only met Steve once. And it was, again, before he ever had records out. It was probably not too long after you met him. There used to be this thing in Richardson called PDAP, Palmer Drug Abuse Program. And when I was a teenager, I got locked up in a drug hospital, Easttown Osteopathic Hospital over there on Cyan Road. And I was in there for 3 months. And we would go on these field trips once a week. And we went on a field trip to go to this PDAP dance downtown at the Statler Hotel. And Stevie Ray's band was the band playing that night.
Oh, really?
Yes. And he and I both were kind of in the same boat. We both had got busted by the Dallas Police Department or whatever and got deferred adjudication, which meant they didn't, you know.
Yeah.
You had to complete probation and go through this stuff to get your thing dropped. And we both had got busted at the same time. And we go on this field trip to see his band play at this dance thing. And they did all Jimi Hendrix songs that night. Their whole set was Jimi Hendrix songs. And during the break, I walked over, you know, I love Stratocasters. So I was like, hey, man, can I play your Strat, you know? And he handed me his guitar, and the strings were like that fat. They were like super, I mean, I was like, how do you even play this thing, dude? You know, or whatever. And he's like, you know.
I mean, it's like barbed wire or something.
Yeah, it was impossible.
I always heard piano strings.
Yeah, you couldn't even bend them or anything. And I was like, how does this dude play this guitar?
He had unbelievably strong hands.
Yeah, you could tell when you shook hands with him.
Yeah, you could.
But we got to talking about our situations, you know, and he was the first person I ever met that did heroin. You know, we didn't have heroin in Richardson back then. You know, that was not a thing. I never met a single kid my age who had ever done heroin.
Yeah.
And he had been trying to kick heroin, you know, and was in the program and doing his thing. And I was an acid head. I did a lot of acid and weed and stuff, so that was my thing. We didn't have like matching drug habits, you know, but we were both in the same place at the same time trying to do the same thing. And I only got to talk to him briefly during that break between their sets, but I've still got the ticket from it, you know. I think it was 1979 or 1980, something like that.
You want to hear the story about how I learned about what happened to him before it hit the news cycle?
Yes.
Oh, the helicopter crash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God almighty, yeah.
Like I say, our scenes, our orbits had a weird way of bumping up against each other over the years. And my then wife booked models, you know, fashion models, fashionistas, stuff like that.
For Kim Dawson or Paige
no, it was Paige Parks.
Yeah.
For Models Rep.
Yeah.
She was one of her bookers.
Yeah.
And she comes home one day and says to me, have you ever heard of Stevie Ray Vaughan? And I said, first of all, I about had to pick myself up off the floor.
What kind of question is that?
Because of all the questions and all the people to ask a question like that, I didn't think it would be her. So I kind of looked at her funny and said, yeah, I know him. Do you? Thinking like, okay, what's been going on here that I don't know about?
Kicked him out of my stupid band.
Yeah. And she said his girlfriend came in today. I said, oh, really? And did you meet her, and did she have any pictures or, you know, photos or anything? And she said, oh, yeah, she's beautiful. We're definitely going to start booking her.
Mm.
So they got to know each other, and my then wife was the kind of person that once you know her, you are in her inner circle, she's in yours, and you want to hang out with her. And they started hanging out. And one night she comes home and says, "What would you think about going to dinner with Jenna and Stevie?" I said, I think I'd be for it.
Were you still at KZW then?
Yeah. No, this is after that.
Yeah.
This was
Sports phone?
This might have been before sports phone.
Sorry.
So we would go out to dinner with him and hang out and everything like that. And I got to know him a little bit. And I will never forget one conversation I had with him where we're sitting there talking. He's telling me that some big name guy wants him to do something with him.
David Bowie?
No, it wasn't Bowie. It was somebody else, somebody that he never really worked with. I can't remember who it was right now. But he said, I'm also, but we're supposed to go on tour and open up for I don't know, somebody else. And then I said, I'm thinking, okay, well, that's cool, but what am I supposed to say to this? But he just kept looking at me and says, "What do you think I should do?" And I'm like, wait a minute, you're asking me what I think you should do, who you should open up for or go on the road with or whatever the hell's going on? I mean, how am I supposed to know this, you know? And I can't remember what I said. I said, "What do you think would be more fun?" or something like that. And anyway, the subject changed, and we went on about our business and everything. But he was real cool about the whole thing. He at that time in his life, he was off of everything.
Yeah.
He was 100. He was going to meetings. He was 100% staying true to it. And I have no doubt that had what happened not happened, he would be staying true to it today.
Yeah.
Because he was just wired that way. But how did I find out about this, you ask?
How?
Before the news cycle hit it. My then wife and I were asleep one night, and the phone rang. And I went there to answer it, and it was Jana. Said, "Mike, this is Jana. Let me talk to Renee." And I said, "Jana, are you okay?" She said, "Let me talk to Renee." Like, okay. So I went in there and woke her up and said, "Jana wants to talk to you. She's on the phone. She wants to talk to you. This sounds important." And I went and I got back in bed and started listening to what they were saying. And she just said, "Hi, Jana." And then there was a long silence of about 10 minutes before she said, "Oh, no." And then another long silence of about 45 minutes or so. And finally, I went in there and just looked at her, kind of went, "Is everything all right?" And she shook her head, "No." And so I sat up and waited for her to get off the phone. And she came in there and told me that after the gig that night, Stevie got on a helicopter and it had gone down.
Yeah.
And this was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning or so, well before it hit the news cycle here.
Yeah, Robert Wolanski was the first one to write about that. And Dallas Times Herald.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the lead above the full story on page
I'm
one.
sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. It was big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my big Stevie Ray Vaughan story. Sorry to bring the room down.
Everybody in Dallas has.
And I kind of
some
brought that
connection.
up, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did that.
Yeah.
That's why you're the devil.
Thank you.
Well, we still hold Stevie's memory dear in our hearts, and Dallas will always be proud of him, obviously. And Austin's tried to always claim he was from there or whatever. He's obviously born, raised, and buried in Dallas.
No, he matriculated there for sure, but he's ours.
Yeah.
They've got enough down there. He was ours.
Man.
Crazy story, huh?
Yeah.
What do we do now, Shoopy?
I don't even know. I think we talked to Grego in a little bit, but
We can talk about sports. I'll talk about sports.
I
with
like
you.
sports.
No, what I want to talk to you about
Oh.
is this. What is the act you've always wanted to book and haven't been able to so far?
PJ Harvey.
Why?
Because she's amazing. I mean, she's incredible. I mean,
That seems like an act that would fit right in at the Kessler.
Well, she only comes to America. Oh, she's way too big to play the Kessler.
Is she really?
She played the Bomb Factory last time she came to Dallas.
Okay.
She comes to Dallas about once every 10 years. PJ Harvey is just one of those, she's just amazing. She's on her own planet. I love her music. It's extraordinary. That's one.
Well, you were very quick to answer that.
Well, you pretty much ask anybody in the promotions business, they'll all say PJ Harvey. Just because what she does is so incredible,
Yeah.
Her songs are so amazing. And a lot of times they'll say Nick Cave. Nick Cave is kind of like the male PJ Harvey. I mean, it's the same deal, cult hero who's, only tours like once every 10 years, yeah, she's amazing.
Speaking of Nicks, didn't you guys have Nick Lowe in there not too long ago?
We've had Nick Lowe a few times. I love Nick Lowe.
I think I've been to one of those. Man, I love him too.
I got a great Nick Lowe story. We had him open for Mavis Staples at the Kessler, and that was probably the one you were at. And
I think it was.
Yeah, and he put on an amazing show, and like literally 5 minutes after he had walked off stage, I went upstairs to go backstage and tell him great show or whatever. And I walk in there and I open the door, and he's sitting there playing Solitaire. He literally had been on stage 5 minutes before, and he was already sitting there with a glass of wine playing Solitaire. People hear about all the wild shit that happens backstage. Nick Lowe plays Solitaire.
I don't see how those guys can just shut it off like that,
He does. He did.
Man.
Yeah, he's great.
I would think that anybody, after playing a show, especially a good show with a good crowd and a good room and good vibe, good energy, everything like that, after you're done, you can't – I don't see how you can just shut it down, and go on to something else.
Well, part of it is I think artists, after many, many years in the business, they get real tired of socializing after the show.
Yeah, that's
saying?
probably true.
So they immediately
What?
dip into something else,
You don't want to talk to anybody after a petty theft show.
I'll talk to everybody after a petty
I know.
theft show.
Dude, I'm surprised
That's
you
why
weren't.
he's the
being
devil.
silly.
That's why he's the devil.
I'm surprised you weren't at Stan Lynch's show the other night.
Man, I wish I would have been.
Oh, it was incredible.
I
Speaker
really
Wars.
wish I would have been.
I'm telling you, it was a great rock and roll show. It was amazing. I mean, they did mostly Speaker War stuff early, but the last 4 or 5 songs were petty songs.
Yeah.
With Andy Timmons singing lead and playing guitar.
Wow.
And they just crushed it. And it just, man, it was such a great vibe. Such just a rock and roll show vibe, It's just beautiful.
Yeah, my then wife, who also booked as a model, his now wife was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she told me all about it. And she tried to get me to go, but I, for some reason, couldn't.
Andy played on their record. A lot of the guys in the Speaker Wars are from North Texas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Most of the band are Dallas and Denton guys. And Stan's the drummer, obviously. But Andy played on their album. So I got him to open the show. And then one thing led to another. And
yeah,
they did the whole Texas tour with him.
Well,
I love Andy. He's such a great guy.
And I love Andy, too.
Yeah, he's such a good human being, man.
Just a great singular player.
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason why he's where he is in the guitar pantheon around here, for sure.
Everybody knows him as a guy with mad chops. He was Olivia Newton-John's musical director for years.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And when you're somebody's musical director, that ain't no joke.
No, you're doing everything. You're
Yes.
doing all the charts, all the arrangements, everything. You're the band leader. That's what Charlie Sexton is really good at, too. He's had that same role with Dylan, Elvis Costello.
Really?
Yes, oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Same deal.
I don't know if I would have figured or I would have tabbed Charlie Sexton for that. But
Oh, man, throughout the years, he played with Bowie. He was in Bowie's band after Stevie Ray bailed out on him.
Mhm.
He's played with a bunch of people. He produced Edie Brickell's solo records. He's played with, everybody, man. He's a great producer, too. Excellent producer.
What were we talking about earlier today regarding, I think it was the Sex Pistols and some other band that you brought up that played either with them or is kind of like them? I wanted to get into that with you at the time, and now it's out there somewhere and I can't find it.
Well, I don't know what exactly what you're talking about, but I do know this, that when the Sex Pistols came through in 78, the Ramones had already come through. And it was pretty much punk rock was the Ramones and the Sex Pistols at that time. Those were the two bands that were really crushing it. And I had seen the Ramones and the Runaways together at Panther Hall in Fort Worth about 3 or 4 months before the Sex Pistols show. And the Sex Pistols kind of, I expected it to be that intense. The Ramones show was super tight, super concise, really succinct. It was one song after another, no downtime between any of the songs. The song was over, and then it was 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, next song,
Yeah.
And I fully kind of expected the Sex Pistols to be like that. And between those two bands, having those two different experiences, it drew a line in the sand between American punk rock and English punk rock. American punk rock, they didn't fuck around. I mean, it was just boom, 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 one song after another. And the Ramones, the Runaways, who Joan Jett at the time, she was like 17 years old, was their lead singer. Same deal. They were super tight too. They were really, for being a bunch of teenagers, they were really professional. And Panther Hall, very similar to Longhorn Ballroom. It was a famous Fort Worth place. It was kind of a country thing. And the
That's
Ramones,
where Panther a Go-Go used to be.
Yeah, I think Elvis Presley played there.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. The Ramones kind of did the same thing the Sex Pistols did. They, over the course of about a year and a half or 2 years, they played 3 different country places in Dallas.
Yeah.
They played the Longhorn too, obviously. Played Panther Hall, and they also played this place called the Western Place, which is over on Skillman.
Yeah.
Which is a country bar.
I remember that.
Yeah. So there was kind of, you saw this kind of thing developing between punk rock and country music. The juxtaposition of punk rock bands in a country spot.
God, I've never drawn that line, but now that you mention it, yeah. It was.
Yeah.
That was very strange.
Oh, man. And I love the Ramones, too. The Ramones were so intense. And then not too long after that, about a year or so after that, the Hot Club opened up. And the great Mark Lee and Danny Eaton started bringing all the British punk rock bands to the Hot Club.
Yep.
And, the Stranglers played there. The Stranglers were amazing. And the Damned, and the UK Subs, all these different, British punk bands all got their start in Dallas at the Hot Club. And after that, after the Hot Club kind of established itself and kind of created this awareness for punk rock in Dallas-Fort Worth, then they started doing shows at the Bronco Bowl. So they would graduate bands from the Hot Club to either the Arcadia Theater or the Longhorn, and then to the Bronco Bowl. So once they started doing shows in 1980 or so at the Bronco Bowl, you had The Cure, U2, R.E.M., the Smiths.
Yeah.
All of those bands came through. And
is the Bronco Bowl still up?
No, it got torn down. It's a Home Depot now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, the Bronco Bowl is probably my favorite Dallas venue of all time.
They take all the good shit away from us.
If Home Depot was smart, they would have left the auditorium part.
Yeah.
And just torn down the bowling alley and built a Home Depot around it.
Yeah.
And made it the Home Depot auditorium. They could have kept it and, multitask.
That's not very forward thinking by them.
That's what I would have done.
That's why they need you.
Well,
Home Depot needs you.
I ain't going to work at Home Depot, so don't get any ideas.
I'm not getting any ideas. Don't worry.
I'm still mad at him for that, man, because I love the Bronco Bowl. All my favorite shows were there. D'Angelo's show was amazing there, and The Clash. Oh, my God, so many great shows. U2, The Cure, all those bands played there.
God, I'd love to have seen The Cure there.
Oh, man. I saw The Cure at the Arcadia, too. They were great there, too.
God. See, I was off-put by those bands back then.
Yeah.
And I would come later, as always.
You know what? I remember when you were writing for the morning news.
Yeah.
You were a pop critic for the morning news. I don't know. That may have been before punk rock, but you had like a big fro.
Yeah.
Kind of a big.
Back when I could do that.
Yeah. I've still got. I find all these old newspapers from back then, and I find some of your old stories in there, and clip them out, and put them in the scrapbook.
Oh God, I haven't read those in years, and I don't know if I really want to.
They're good, man. They're really good. You did a good job. It's like you and Pete Opple.
Yeah. Ugh.
Don't be ashamed of that, man. That's great.
I don't know, man.
You were documenting history,
Yeah.
And it's hard.
That was neat.
It's hard when you're doing it in real time to think, someone might go back and read this 40 years from now and get some proper context to how popular music rolled out over time, you know.
Yeah, it was neat to do it. It was just kind of a second job, you know, and I didn't put probably enough into it that I would have liked to have.
Well, you know, just doing that and being at the zoo, that kind of cements your place on the Dallas Rock and Roll Mount Rushmore, you know.
Well, if I'm on the Dallas Mount Rock and Roll Mount Rushmore, so are you.
Well,
I'm next to you.
I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that.
I'm totally good with that, too. You're a mensch, man. Appreciate you doing this.
You want to come to my thing on the 15th?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm doing another storytellers thing at the Kessler on November 15th with Robert Wolanski.
Okay.
We're going to tell like stories about the first time Van Halen rolled into town. And
I'm there.
Led Zeppelin and all the.
I'm there.
Yeah.
Two of my favorite storytellers.
Yeah.
You should be there too, kids.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be.
Probably that'll probably be right before when the Sex Pistols happen, so you'll probably get a Sex Pistol story out of it too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The more Sex Pistols, the better.
Yeah.
That's what I have always thought. All right, that is this episode of Your Dark Companion. Thanks to the great Jeff Liles, man. You are a mensch if there ever was one. Thanks to Ashley. Thanks to Shoopy. Thanks to you. And don't forget that if you like what we're doing here, what you need to do is, number one, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We're all over the place out there. Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get them, we're there. And then write a review. Write a review. Let others know what you think about what we're doing here, because that helps. That's probably the best thing you can do for those of us who swim in the water of the podcast. Anyway, this has been Your Dark Companion. Thanks for watching. Bye.
All right. I'm going to go take my pants off.
Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.